Let me check whether we are live or not.
Check.
Okay, we are live. Uh, hey guys, thanks for joining. This is Harsh, co-organizer GDG Ranchi, and we have yeah. So yes, over to you.
So, hello guys, this is Yash from GDG Ranchi. I'm an event organizer at GDG Ranchi. So, by now, from the previous session, you must have understood that what are the various opportunities in the open source. And now we have with us our second speaker, Shahbaz sir, who will take you to the topic of how can we start contributing to the open source. So, in this session, if you're a complete beginner, you don't know about what is Git, what is version control. Don't worry. We'll teach you and the parts of open source and what is Git. So please welcome Shahbaz sir on the stage.
Hello everyone. Am I
Hello,
audible here?
Yeah,
hello Shahbaz sir. Welcome to
yeah,
the stream.
yeah.
Hi.
Hi,
Yes,
Shabas.
sir, you're audible.
Hi buddies.
Hi Shahbaz sir.
Yep. So welcome to GDG's Ranchi's second year's Hacktoberfest event where we have for this particular today we have three sessions. One was covered by Taiba Wasim. She was talking about GSOC Outreachy and some amazing programs to contribute to in open source. And and I'm here where I'll be talking about pathways to open source. So because I'm not able to see my another screen, so Harsh, can you add that screen
Yeah, yeah.
so we know that we are good to go for the presentation? So are we added on this? Okay, yes. So we have our slides live because I can see it on my mobile phone. So yes, welcome to this
Yes, sir.
call and this talk where I am talking about pathways to open source. So let's contribute. So you know more about me that as Harsh and Yas both introduced me, I'm Mohammad Shahbaz Alam. I run a company called Alfaz Lingua. I'm a full stack developer, Auxiliary ambassador, Mozilla representative, and the GDG Ranchi organizer. I am the organizer of this group along with Harsh, as well as our cool and awesome event organizers such as Yash and uh, we have one more. Sorry, I missed his name, but it shouldn't have. So yeah, next is the agenda of this talk, where I'll talk about VCS, Git, what are VCS and Git, because people don't consider everything VCS, and if they consider Git as a VCS, so there are things to talk about there. There are what are open source projects, how to contribute into that, and luckily I have not selected GSOC. What Taiba was talking about, I selected Outreachy and Hacktoberfest, which is the theme of today's talk, where I'll be covering most of the things related to Outreachy and Hacktoberfest. And I will cover the brief things which we say the formal roles in an open source projects. So yes, so without any further ado, let's get started with VCS and Git. So what is version control system and why should you care, and why should one care about VCS, right? So VCS control, like the version control system, is a system that records changes to a file or set of files over time so that you can recall specific versions later. I'm not sure if you people have used Sheets rigorously, because I have been using Sheets from last 3 years. And in the Sheets, if you click on the last minute updates, when you click on that, there is an option that last changes was made by Shahbaz at this particular time. So when you click on that, you will go to the previous versions of your sheets being changed each time. So that is somewhat, you can see that how a VCS is. But before going to the that example, we let's come back and see what is local version control. So even in your system, your local computer, your file has various versions of overwrites, right? When you start typing, it gets saved. Once you save it, it goes to the memory, and that is your first version. And the list goes on and on. Like when you have the second version, you select second version. When you type it, and move on for the second version and third versions, and so on and so forth, right? So apart from local version control system, there is called centralized version control systems. Now it's not local; it is located there. There is a particular CPU, or there is a particular computer, to be specific, where a host of a bunch of computers is connected with. So each, here you can see the computer A and computer B have the same files, what is there in the central VCS server. And once each gets updated, there is an up version of it, right? Similarly, with this, there is another terminology that is called distributed version control system. So this is, earlier the computer A and computer B could talk to the server, but A and B couldn't talk like with each other. But with distributed version control system, this could be achieved, right? And this evolved the DVCS, the distributed version control system, evolved and became somewhat Git. So let us understand. I know some of the people know much about Git, but they might not know the Git history. So I'll just cover a brief history of Git. So the Linux kernel is an open source software project of fairly large scope. Everyone knows about Linux kernel. It was developed by Linus Torvald. So yeah, and the most of the lifetime of the Linux kernel maintenance, the 1991 to 2002, changes to the softwares were passed around such in patches and archived files, right? But in 2002, the Linux kernel project began using a proprietary, the DVCS, distributed version control system, called BitKeeper. The Linux was using BitKeeper to maintain the tracks, maintain the patches, maintain the archived files. And in 2005, the relationship between the community that developed the Linux kernel and the commercial company that developed BitKeeper broke down, and the tool's free of charge status was revoked. It was like they had a pact with the Linux community and the company who was working, who has developed BitKeeper, and it got revoked. So this prompted the Linux development community, and in particularly to the Linus Torvald, the creator of Linux, to develop their own tool based on some of the lessons they learned while using BitKeepers, how BitKeepers was working on. So some of the goals of the new systems which was to be built was, it has to be there has to be a speed, it has to be a simple design, strong support for non-linear development, fully distributed, able to handle large project like the Linux kernel efficiently, the speeds and size, and the speed and data sizes, right? Since its birth in 2005, so now you know Git is, the birth of Git happened in 2005, which has evolved and matured to be easy to use and yet retain these initial qualities: speed, simple design, strong support, full non-linear development, fully distributed, able to handle larger projects. It's amazingly fast till today, and it is incredibly faster in branching system for non-linear development. So next, move on to Git. I know if you have tuned into our last, like the yesterday's session, where Vishal, as well as one of the speaker from BIT Mishra, also talked about introduction to Git, and has gone much more in detail about how Git works, and what are branches, how to merge those things, how to rebase, how to pull requests, how to merge all those things. So if you want to watch that after this talk, you should go to that talk and watch it and learn about Git. If not, reach out to me later on after this talk. So open source projects, the heart of the open source projects somewhat revolves around Git. And these are the three major platforms where Git repositories are hosted: GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbuckets. So every open source project is listed somewhere down, like even maybe in GitLab, maybe in GitHub, Bitbucket. somewhere there there are VCS code, Ember, Rail, jQuery, Bootstrap, Node, Vue.js, NASA, Google, Facebook, Mozilla, Node.js. There are plenty of open source projects to work on, and how you can see the open source projects, I will talk more in detail. So how the best open source projects to contribute to is by using the products built by an open source community. This is what I believe. Like if you love a product, see that if it is built by an open source community, and if it is, it could be like once you start using it. Let's say, for example, if you're using Firefox browser, and if you use it and start using it, you feel that there is some bug, maybe certain crashes or some design element you need to evolve, or you can suggest. So it could be a reporting of a bug, testing certain features, creating a pull request if you're good with codes, designing, or if not, evangelizing, like, and lots more of ways to contribute to open source projects. So why I have listed good first bugs, beginners, easy, and contributors. These are the tags which is used in the open source communities to welcome new contributors. I will cover the role of a contributor, maintainer, and committer later on in the slide, but understand that if you see an issue, and again, if you understand about what good Git is, and if you see the issues, you go for this particular thing: good first bugs, beginners, easy, or contributors. There is a plenty of issues, and again, I will cover all those few of those in Hacktoberfest slide. So yeah, how an open source project look like and where to find it. The easiest place is on GitHub. Go to GitHub and search for, let's say, for Mozilla. There are particular repositories where you can contribute to, and again, look out for these tags: good first bugs, beginners, easy, contributors. Right? There are again, Linux is on GitHub as well. This is the Linus Torvalds repository, and the Linux kernel is hosted on the GitHub itself. And there are Node.js. If you are, let's say, if you are a Node JavaScript developer, or if you're a Node.js developer, there are plenty of other repositories where you can help. Or if you can see, there is a help commentary, there is Node, there is releases, there is Node add-on APIs, and so on and so forth. Next is, you can go for Vue.js. If you understand how Vue.js framework works, you can contribute to their Vue router, Vuex, Vue CLI, and any of the repositories what you are using it. But the key, what I said earlier, that once you use those particular product, the open source product, you will more be able to contribute and suggest the changes what you are looking for. Similarly goes on for Google. These are not easy to get into at first, but I will cover, and this is the opportunity. This Hacktoberfest is the opportunity where you can learn more about how to contribute in an open source project. So again, for Facebook also there is repositories, and even for GitHub, GitHub organization is listed on the GitHub itself, and you can again contribute to many repositories. So moving on to my next topic, which was Outreachy, and luckily Taiba didn't cover much of the details much more about in detail, but I was happy to see that she covered GSOC, so I'm satisfied that I have not missed that part. So yeah, Outreachy is a paid remote internship program, as Taiba was also saying it. And Outreachy's goal is to support people from groups of underrepresented in tech. It doesn't mean that if you're a boy, you cannot apply in here. But again, you need to be from an underrepresented community. There is a eligibility criteria. Again, you can visit outreachy.org to see more about the eligibility criteria. And in a few minutes, I'll show what are the eligibility criteria as well. So they help newcomers to free and open source software, make their first contributors. Like if you are a new person, if you are a new developer and want to contribute to a new open source project, so there are projects listed on Outreachy where you can contribute similar to GSOC. And yeah, so why apply to Outreachy is, again, there has to be a love and passion towards open source. And apart from the monetary rewards or any recognition, one should have a passion towards open source to understand more in detail about any of the project what you are going to contribute into. So yes, why apply to Outreachy? Because Outreachy provides an opportunity for an online collaborative environment for learning and remote mentoring with experienced fast contributor, free and open source software, many of whom are employed to work with free and open source software. The Outreachy travel stipend gives interns a chance to network with their community, give their first public tech talk, look for a job, or learn new skills. So yeah, if you're not into this category, if you have a passion towards learning new things in software industry, again, you can apply for this. It doesn't have to be that you have a passion towards each and every aspect of it, but you should have a passion towards free and open source softwares, and you wanted to evangelize those products, right? So how to apply for this? The again, it varies from people to people. And why I know more about Outreachy is from Mozilla organization, because Mozilla has been part of Outreachy from last many years, and I know many girls from our community. We call it WOMOs, and we know many WOMOs, women in Mozilla, who have been part of the Outreachy program. So the best way to apply for Outreachy, having an application process, is to have a decent amount of time with you, so that at least you try to have 2 to 3 weeks before the Outreachy application deadline. So it's highly encouraged. Again, these are the few things which you can again see on the Outreachy website itself. Make sure that you are eligible to apply for Outreachy. In the next slide, I'll tell you what is the eligibility criteria. Pick 1 or 2 projects, as Saiba was also saying. Don't go beyond 2. So having 2 would be a great start to work on. And again, I'm completely against with just contributing to open source for this particular program or this particular benefit, maybe just for the Outreachy or GSOC. You should start way before that. I believe the Outreachy program application has is been finished for this particular term. So this is a good time for you to explore the open source world and get yourself familiarized with the terms and terminologies used by the open source projects. So yeah, again, pick 1 or 2 projects, make small consistent contribution to the projects you have chosen. Again, it is not just before 1 or 2 weeks. It would be amazing to have your experience for about maybe 6 months before the GSOC application or before the Outreachy application. And next step is to have record in progress contribution on the Outreachy website, like how you have done contribution to particular project. Record those process. Again, GitHub will automatically will do that, all those steps, if it is hosted on GitHub. And at last, complete your final application once the application is open. So eligibility criteria varies from time to time, but these are the in general eligibility criteria that you should have. You should be more than 18 years of older, and you are available for a full-time 40 hours a week internship from particular to particular. This is for this term, like December 1st December 2022. Again, 3-month period. And you were not an intern with Outreachy. This goes on. You can read more about it in the Outreachy website. Yeah, so I know that many people see that this is only for the girls, but if you see my first slides, it says that it is for everyone from an underrepresented in tech. So it's not just for the girls, but if you are from an underrepresented community, you should apply that. You should apply for Outreachy as well, right? So next is the internship time commitment for any particular project. Maybe for if you're just browsing through some of the content, or if you want to contribute to open source, it's fine that you go ahead and pull your request, do some changes, suggest your patches. But if you are applying for Outreachy or GSOC, there has to be a time commitment from your side, that you should at least invest your 40 hours per week, and 12 weeks of Outreachy internship, that is of 13-week duration something. And you can read more about it, but I have just put on the time commitment to give stress on why it is important. Because unless and until you give your time to a project, you won't be understanding how deep it is and how easy it is to contribute to a project, right? And or at the same time, how difficult it is to contribute to a project. Yeah, the coolest part is of now, that is the payment. That I'm not sure why it's not add up to 6,000, but yeah, Outreach interns are paid 5,500 USD for a total of 3 months of work. The stipend is paid in three different parts. I guess it's same for the GSOC, but money varies from program to program. But it gives in the initial phase and the mid phase and the final phase of your stipend, your internship. So again, this is the deadline. This is the payment schedule for this year's Outreachy program. That December 1st, you will start your internship, and December 11th, deadline to turn in tax forms, because you need to fill in the form like WBEN to receive payment from different countries and different things. And on December 11th, you'll have initial feedback. And yeah, on January 2021, welcome to the new year. Hopefully this year 2021 will be much better than 2020. But yeah, coming back to this, you will receive some money as your initial stipend, the $2,000. And as you can see, the rest, once you complete your once the feedback is done, you'll receive all your payment, right? And this is a program where you have to record yourself. So what is a better way to record about your journey is that to start writing about how you contribute, introduce, like how you started, how you did particular projects. So this is about, if you it gives you more into the content writing side of it. So it will give you more, not just a person who is good with codes, but also who can explain better how they did it. So the blog will be a best point where you will introduce yourself, and also talk about your struggles, how you manage to fix particular issues, and also how you have managed, and what is the stage of work you are currently working on, and how is your mentor helping, and what, like many things in between, right? So once this is the program which we currently are right now to get benefit from. Outreachy has been passed, but with this Hacktoberfest, you can again get the benefit of Hacktoberfest. So this is the Hacktoberfest website. If you search on Google, there's a link, Hacktoberfest. So what is Hacktoberfest? Hacktoberfest is a month-long community program presented by DigitalOcean, Intel, Dev, and many communities. So these are the sponsored ones. So what you have to do, the detail is that you should contribute to open source project. So as you see, it's an open to everyone in our global community, whether you are a developer, student learning to code, event host, or company of any size. So what you have to do is that you need to find uh, a repository on GitHub that which you wish to contribute into. And as I was saying about the tags, look for those tags. But here in particular, this Hacktoberfest, if the repositories or the organization is part of Hacktoberfest, then they should mark their issues with the Hacktoberfest tags. Again, I will show you how it looks. So what you need to do is that this year, last year, I believe it was five pull requests. or 5 or 4, but usually it's already always 4 pull requests to any of the open source community projects between October 1st to October 31st in any of the time zone. So but make sure that you should contribute to a public repo, and like there is no mandatory of having an issue labeled Hacktoberfest. You can contribute to any of the public repositories listed on GitHub. So but make sure that if you are just going to any of the project and just having just for the sake of this particular month Hacktoberfest, you are creating, or you are opening a pull request which doesn't solve the problem, or which is just a spam. So make sure you don't do that. If you do that, maintainer will report it and it will not get counted as your count of pull request. But if you are lucky enough, and if I'm not sure because it's already 4th of October, but still we have time. This year it is some 70,000 participants. If you successfully create or open a pull request for Hacktoberfest, then
I think there is some connection issue.
Yes, yes, I also think.
Uh, so guys, just wait a few minutes. Let us fix the issue.
In the meantime, guys, if you have any question about the topic which sir is talking about, you can post here. We will have a Q&A session at the last.
Uh, sorry, guys, I'm not sure from where I have left it, but somehow my internet got like from where I don't
Yeah,
know. But thanks, Harsh, for calling because I knew that something is missing. So if you guys know that where I this stream got disconnected.
yeah. Let me confirm.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I believe I was talking about Hacktoberfest and that got disconnected.
Yeah, you were
Yes,
talking
yes,
about
yes,
that
yes.
not to spam the maintainers with those pull requests.
Yeah, right. So let me add my screen. StreamYard. Now, sorry. Okay. So yeah, I was talking about not to spam and um, spam the maintainers about saying that if it is already there, if someone is already commented that they want to work on that particular issue, let them work on that and find a new one, right? So you can filter out based on your interest of learning, your interest of language. There are plenty of ways to explore that. Just search for the Hacktoberfest label and you would be good to go that. And trust me, most of the Hacktoberfest label are very easy to contribute into. So yeah, you can select from this. But this year just because of the climate change and COVID-19, there are specific organizations, specific repos where you can contribute to, if you wish to contribute into these kind of repositories like climate change uh, and electricity map contrib and so like so on and so forth, right? So yeah, if you know, if you want to contribute into Hacktoberfest, or if you love to see people from your community contribute to Hacktoberfest, spread the word. At last, I'll talk about the roles in an open source projects. So these are the three main role, which is as like the formal roles, what we say, but it's not like limited to only these particular roles. So let's see who are maintainers. For some projects, maintainers are the only people in a project with commit access. So if you don't know about commit is something which you can merge someone's changes to your particular project, or your if you're a maintainer of that, you can do that. In other projects, they are simply the people who are listed in the readme section of the GitHub or a project. A maintainer doesn't necessarily have to be someone who writes code for your project, but it is recommended that they know the code structure. It's not like you give your repository is of JavaScript, and you have given the maintainer access to a designer who doesn't know JavaScript. It's possible that a designer know JavaScript as well, but who doesn't know JavaScript, don't give access to those people the maintainer access. It could be someone who has done a lot of work evangelizing your project, right? Who has written documents about it, who has made your project accessible to the people, who has made some blog post about your project, about your particular repositories, that how one should contribute into. You can give access to those people, and those people are called as maintainers. A maintainer is probably someone who feels responsibility over the direction of the project, how this project is going to go forward, and is committed to improving the overall project with time. Next one is the contributor. A contributor could be anyone who comments on an issue or pull request, or who opens a pull request, as in this case. So if you wish to contribute to any of the project, once you comment on an issue, or if you raise a open up a pull request, you are a contributor to that particular project. Or a people who have who add values to the project, whether it's like looking for the issues, writing code, or like organizing events, writing a blog post about that particular project. So all things come under this as well, the contributor, not the different part of it, the maintainer section, but how one you have done this particular issue will fix particular issues. Or anybody with a merge pull request access. So those are the contributors. As Michael from Healthy Open Source says, that every person who shows up to comment on an issue or submit code is a member of a project's community. Just being able to see them means that they have crossed the line from being a user to being a contributor. If anyone has come up to your project suggesting some changes, they are the contributor of your project. Next one is the committer. The term committer might be used to distinguish commit access, which is a very specific type of responsibility from other forms of contributions. It is giving the commit access to particular, just the commit access to a or a person. Or some people think you should give commit access to everybody who makes a contribution. There will be people, if you are maintaining a project, people will come to you and say that hey buddy, hey guys, I have committed something, I have done some contribution, give me the commit access. But doing so could encourage more people to feel ownership of your project. It's a good part of it. Again, this may lead it to spamming of the project. If the on the other hand, like especially for larger or bigger complex projects, you may want to give commit access to people who have demonstrated their commitment, or who knows the code very well, right? But Again, there is no right way of doing it. So do what makes you most comfortable. So this was the overall talk about it, which where I covered what is VCS, Git, and everything. All those details are here. The resources you can find. Um, Unfortunately, because of the time constraint, I couldn't cover most few of the things, which is very good read to have. How to write a good commit message, because this will give you much more advantage over other people if you are going for Outreachy or if you're going for GSOC. Again, if you are interested in check Hacktoberfest, click on this link on checklist for Hacktoberfest. Don't worry, I'll share the link of this particular slide, and you can find it easily and come to this particular thing and learn more about it, right? And if there is any way of getting connected with me, connect with me on any of the platform if you want to, if you wish to. So the slide is here. You can visit the slides.com/mdsbzalam. You will find all of my slides here. So that goes for the Hacktoberfest, which we have organized under the GDG Ranchi banner. So I'm open for question. It would be a good way now, because like you can
Yes,
Harsh, if you're here, Harsh, or yes.
yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, so just remove the presentation part of it, so that once I move to the StreamYard,
First,
I'll on Harsh is removing. Okay.
thank you.
Okay, nice. So yes, if anyone has any questions about it, do let me know. Okay, so we have good amount of people. We have our folks
Hmm.
and our loved Pranshu Khanna with us. Hi, Pranshu bhai. We have Shaina Dingra with us. Hi, hello, Shaina. Hope to see you very soon in our next talk, where again I forgot to mention that Shana will be covering most of the intro part of how to contribute into open source, and that is definitely something which you should watch that. And yeah, if there is any questions,
Yeah,
I'm
guys, if
open
you
for
have
that
any
as
such
well.
question about the talk, please comment below. We'll answer it. We'll wait for a few minutes here for your questions.
Yeah, so Harsh, just to break the silence, I will ask Harsh to just stand up to show his T-shirt of his last year's contribution. I believe Harsh, you made some
Mm,
contribution and you got particular T-shirt.
yes, is wearing that T-shirt of
Yes, sir.
Hacktoberfest. This is that.
Hacktoberfest
Yay!
2019.
This is the T-shirt from actually TechFest for this year.
Oh, nice. And unfortunately, I didn't get one.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, anything about open source or anything about Git, VCS, Outreachy, GSOC. If people are listening, I'm not sure anyone is listening on YouTube. Let me see. But yeah, guys, if you are watching it later on, don't forget to even like reach out to me on Twitter or anywhere, whichever platform you are familiar with. Reach out to me if you have any question. I would love to answer that. Yeah, and if you are very much interested in Outreachy, there are good amount of girls in Mozilla who have contributed to Mozilla projects in Outreachy. Okay, so
Yes,
if
sir.
we
There's
don't,
no question, I
if there is
guess.
no question, we can wrap it up. Or if you Hush, Yash, if you have any questions, I can take that. Anything.
Sir, I have a question about that VCS part that you have covered in the session only. It's
Introduction.
clear right now.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. So what is the question?
No, sir, it's clear right now. I have one question.
Oh,
You just talked about it in the session only,
oh,
so it's
nice,
clear right now.
nice. Okay, so because we have in 5 minutes, we have our talk with Shaina, where hi Rishabh, good to see you. We miss you. Do join our sessions. Rishabh is
Yes.
Rishabh is part of GDG Ranchi from very beginning. Once we did when we did our first event in Subway, and I would love to hear your story. Where are you right now? Okay, so let's end this talk and head over to Shaina's Stingra's talk. Again, the link will be in our GDG Ranchi channel. Tune into that, and we will see you in 5 minutes. Bye.